Hey YouTube, good afternoon. Well, it's Friday afternoon, the last day of the quarter. Tesla stock's up over 5%, and we got FSD version 11.3.4 dropped just a few hours after the employees got it yesterday. I don't even think it was a full 24 hours. Not sure about that. Here's the version number with the hashtag. Just showing you I am driving in the average profile. Some people ask me about that. I leave it at average just so I'm kind of putting it in the middle. I've got a new route here that's going to hopefully give us an unprotected left turn, maybe a chance at a U-turn, and then the Memorial Park drive. So we'll try to knock this out without making it too long. But here we go. FSDBeta 11.3.4 first impressions. Starting off with an unprotected left turn. Looks like we got traffic on the opposing side. It needs to wait for, and it's blue, so that gives me the warm and fuzzy. That's what it's doing. Creep limits there. Needs to wait. Motorcycle. Woo, boy, he didn't show up till the last second. And then here we got a nice slug of traffic with a good perspective of all the blue cars. And I actually like where it's stopped right here. It cannot see from the B pillar. If I lean my head back to the B pillar, it cannot see as far as I can leaning forward, so it could probably creep a little bit further forward for a better perspective. But you can see with the distance it's picking up these cars, it can see far enough with where it is. This unprotected left turn is not a true obstruction. You can safely creep out to get a good view, but you do have to kind of stick your nose out there a little bit. Now you notice we have the car on the other side who has the right of way here, is also identified blue, and he's right smack in that median network that's being projected there. If you notice how my trajectory is also kind of bouncing around a little bit around where he is. Wow, we have a lot more traffic coming, so this is a good time of day to be doing this. And he's going to go for that tiny little gap there, which was great, because now my median is open, but I've got about another 5 or 6 cars to wait for, it looks like. I could turn right here and do a U-turn, but FSDBeta doesn't do U-turns yet. So I think I would go after this next truck, which has got it identified blue right now. Pre-roll. Hit it. Got to go. Clear to the right, so it's not going to stop, and it did it just fine. So it was a long wait. A really long wait, but it was fine. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out this FSDBeta South, and I'm going to see if it'll program a U-turn in here. And I think it has. Let's see what happens with this. I may have to add this to every one of my first impressions drives. So it's slowing down. There's a car right on my rear end. I really wish it would use a blinker here. It's slowing way down, getting left. Gosh, it's not getting over though. And that car was very, very annoyed. Now, what's it gonna do here? Boy, ooh, it's kind of going back out into traffic there. That was not good. Because there's cars in this lane here, and you see how it stuck my nose over there? Now, it does not say unable to complete maneuver yet, but I cannot let it go any further right. I'm really probably not in a great spot, but I kind of want to see what it's going to do here a little bit. As soon as it says unable to complete maneuver, okay, it's just staying here. All right, I'm going to tap the accelerator now. Okay, yeah, it started going right again. So U-turns are not there yet. Unable to complete U-turn. But at least we got a good way of integrating an unprotected left turn with a very quick chance to do a U-turn. The pose for the beginning of that U-turn was not good with the way it went out into the traffic, and when I nudged it, it continued that. Not sure what it's slowing down for here. Oh, I see what it's doing. That was the speed limit adjustment right there that it did correctly. So it is my expectation that this is going to go wide, having not even driven it yet. If we can't get a version with 4 iterations polished out enough to give to the beta testers, that would be a little bit disappointing. I don't know the exact issues why they stopped the rollout on 11.3.3. There were definitely some problems, but they were not anything significant as compared to 6925.2. They were just kind of, you know, small regressions in version 11. I am glad it got over to this right lane. So while I was talking there, it just eased over to the right lane, which is exactly what it should do if it's going hardcore at the speed limit here, as you watch these cars go by me on the left. You notice there's a motorcycle approaching from the back corner and passing. So that was a good representation of where he was. I've heard a lot of issues with 11.3 with regards to the merge and the highway merge and things like that. I didn't experience that horribly. I mean, obviously this is the first single stack. You know, it wasn't perfect in highway mode, but once it got on there, it was pretty good. That may have been the reason. It may have been it may have been my unprotected left-hand turn pauses in the middle of the lane. Just went yellow. Good decision there to stop. You know, my unprotected left pause may have been one of the issues. A lot of other folks had some good videos out there that documented some items, but so I don't know which one it was. Elon came out pretty quick though, stating that they needed one more revision to polish it. So they came out pretty quick with that. I don't know if you saw that real quick. We just had a big, huge, long bus that was projected there. The visualization of these crosswalks is pretty good. Notice when the cars go over them, how they kind of got blurry there just for a second. So they're definitely visually being represented. That's not map data anymore. Which is good. Green the Only put out a great tweet yesterday. If you hadn't seen it yet, you might want to go check it out. Notice how I've got a stoplight that is inoperative but is still identified as blue, and just as I went under it, it made it green. That was interesting. Anyway, Green the Only had some good data on what, oh, look at that pedestrian there, and that was an aggressive brake for that pedestrian. The kind of brake that you worry about somebody behind you hitting you. Okay, so we got a right here on green. It's clear from those pedestrians. Very slow. Okay, I had to tap it there with that car right on my rear end that was also turning right. So that was an intervention because it started to stop right at that corner with that bus. Not disengagement worthy because it wasn't the lateral path. It was the commit. I would have let it do its thing if there hadn't have been someone right on my rear end there. All right, I'm going to edit the trip again. These are just waypoints I've been using to try to get the navigation route to just kind of go the normal way without me having to disengage. All right, this turn was much better last time, if I remember. It held it nice and tight. Previous versions, it had taken it much, much wider than necessary. There's our green, protected with an arrow. A little bit wider than I would have expected it needed to with no cars in the way. Okay, so now I'm just double checking the route. Going through our traffic circles and then going straight through the school zone that I'm not sure if it'll be in effect right now or not. See that woman from the right? Unnecessary. There's no way that trajectory should have slowed down there. She was walking in my direction, but that brake was almost as if she was running out at me. So that would be the first things I'm noticing is very, very cautious braking actions that are unnecessarily if they're accurately calculating the VRU trajectories. that woman that it stopped for out on that main road, she wasn't even moving. She was right on the edge of the road, but wasn't moving. All right, previously it has stopped here. This is confusing map data, and it is stopping again. And I did have a yield there with that car. I've got a car right on my rear end, so hopefully it continues through this turn. It's got another stop planned there, and now it's continuing. So that is not great with those stops in there. I think it's underlying map data. We've kind of talked about that every single time we've done it. This one should just flow right around. It's even got a lead car doing exactly what I want, and the stops it's putting in here go. All right. And I just got honked at. Stopped in the traffic circle. So, traffic circles, you got to keep the flow. And it was stopping, and the car right behind me was confused as to what I was doing. Obviously, traffic flow is important. Rightfully so, I got honked at. And that's what the disengagement was about. So, don't know how to describe that any better than I already have. It's kind of a small, tiny, you know, stop sign type of traffic circle. It's not a full-on interstate type of traffic circle, but it doesn't work very well for me yet. Doing the speed limit right on the nose. Feels a little slow, but it's the speed limit. Coming up on the first flashing yellow. And I'm seeing solid yellows, different daylight than I normally do this drive. And they stayed solid yellow, and then there's the red right underneath it. Another yellow. Handled it just fine. All right, should be taking a right up at the next intersection. If you notice the trajectory, it's going to use the full lane here. It's even going to kind of take it a little bit wide, and it just turned yellow. And creeping for a right on red, and it's going to need to wait because there is a car coming that's turning. So it's continuing to creep and go for the right on red. Nice. It does the maneuver correctly. It just in a street that's got room for two cars, it sort of takes both spaces. All right, four-way stop sign here. Very long pause there. Something in the road here to the right. You see, it ought to probably go around it. It might have gone around it. It didn't put it on the occupancy network. This intersection does not have a stop. It's the stop sign to the left, I think, that's confusing it. Nobody's behind me, so I'm just showing you. It's doing a full stop with a creep unnecessarily. Continue to tap that. And the speed limit here is also wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and disengage for both of those. Incorrect stop sign and speed limit. Try to leverage the voice notes a little bit. And you see the speed is still at 15, and it's going to stay at 15 until we pass another stop speed limit sign. The little blue around the speed limit sign here is a little bit of a warning that you're going way faster than what it thinks is the speed limit. That's what that symbology is for. I think it's like twice as much or something like that. That blue comes up. Somebody's probably already tweeted about that. There's my speed limit sign of 30 that was right behind the palm, and it just jumped up. Big deceleration on the bottom of that hill for no reason. Car pulling out in front, identified as blue. Did not overreact to that car at all. That was good. right, should proceed straight through here. Center lane for the through traffic. Good lane choice. This is the road with all my potholes that'll one day maybe be identified. All right, and it's programmed to pull into the Publix parking lot like it did last time. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that there and kind of let the parking lot thing do its thing. Needs to get over into the suicide lane. Ooh, what's it doing? Okay, disengage there. Inappropriate. Didn't come up with a voice note on that one. So it didn't like the suicide lane that time. It did that successfully on the last drive. So let me go ahead and get our return programmed in. And it is not happy. All right, our route is in. Let me see if I can get it going at this intersection. Let it do this stop sign, right turn. Double right, that's good. It's got to get out there for that creep. It's wide open. Good. Another right on red opportunity. Lots of stuff on the visualization with these parked cars. So it should just wait here. There's a lot of traffic coming. I don't think it's going to probably try to go for it. And if you notice, we also have a pedestrian over here in the right-hand corner waiting on his turn to cross the street. So my green light will also be his walk signal. So we'll need to make sure that he's identified as blue and we're appropriately yielding. Lots of blue cars. All those blue cars tell me that it's thinking about right on red. If they all probably disappear, it'll probably starting to creep up, thinking about it right on red. Now it's green. Now we got the pedestrians. Perfectly. Is it gonna go? Okay, go. Come on, do it. All right, very slowly. Nobody behind me, so I didn't annoy anybody with that very slow crawl, but it did it. And this car creeping out got identified as blue till he stopped. So that was really good around the VRUs there in the crosswalk. Perhaps could have nudged a little bit more once they were out of the traffic. It's a little hesitant to go at the end. All right. Yeah, so on the second half here, I think the only two things I would say are a little bit annoying on this drive is my little traffic circles, which is really no change, and its reaction to pedestrians so far that are on the edge. Today, I feel like I'm noticing a little bit of a reaction even when they're not moving. So it might have been a little bit of a tweak on the sensitivity there. I think I'm going to modify the route. I don't have a waypoint in here I can use very easily, but this time of day, running through the little village of Avondale would probably be a very good thing to do. So up at this next intersection, instead of just going back on the exact same route, I'm going to take a left here. See if I can get a route in here. All right, at this point, I don't need that. All right, this is exactly what I wanted. Good. Got a car over here on the right side with its lights on, which means there's a person in it. Door could open, they could pull out. Did have the lights rendered there, that was good. Flashing yellow. Showing solid red for the most of those. Lots of trash cans being rendered. Little bit of a slowdown as he pulled off there, and I'm still down at 27. I'm not sure if that slowdown was for him pulling off or something else. Gave the parked cars a little bit more room there. All right, this is the little village I was talking about. Lots of parked cars, people walking. We might get this pedestrian here on the right. See that? It predicted him, marked him as blue. He's kind of jaywalking out into the lane, treating him with a lot of respect. Now he's in my lane of traffic and I'm going around him. That was really good. Was unsure of his intentions, slowed down. He got a solid trajectory, then it reevaluated, went around. That was really, really good. Yeah, I think the village went pretty straightforward. Kind of constrained by the car in front of me a little bit. Last time I felt it was going a little fast through there, but it was going this posted speed limit, so that's just what it's going to do. Coming up here on the S-curve, and the S-curve is kind of our little unnecessary blinker test. When it is just following a curved road, the blinker comes on. Usually on this turn right here as it comes around to the right, and there it is. It's almost like clockwork. And usually get one more here coming left, and there it is. Can you tell I've done this route a few times? Okay, and we're going to weave through that traffic circle that we disengaged on again, and and then work our way out back to the main road. There's one more spot coming up that's got some conflicting vision and map data that it always kind of tries to stop in the wrong spot. Another blinker. All right, I have someone on my tail, so I'm not going to be able to go really patiently through this circle if it really starts stopping too much. It's got a stop mapped. If you see, it's got a stop mapped, and it's going to be stopping, and I'm pressing it through. That was an accelerator press. And coming through here and around, I'm not pressing it now, but I just had to kind of get it to go through that first yield sign with no traffic. It was unnecessarily stopping there. Right about here, it puts a weird stop, and it wants to see that stop projected. It's not correct. It needs to go straight. And another, see if it, now look at this, it's going to go straight through it here. It did it fine here. So I don't know why it chose to stop at the previous yield but not that one. Maybe the lead car? No, I don't know. That was confusing to me. Unless it's underlying how the map data is drawn. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. We got a Road Ranger here. It's not an emergency vehicle, but Elon has said one day these are going to be visualized. So here he's got lights flashing, and it's not showing anything on that example there. All right, so here's a good example of left turn signals. You see, it's projecting a turn signal on this car in front of me, even though he doesn't have a turn signal on. I haven't figured that one out yet. It's showing lights pretty accurately, but it projects turn signals. Now, I will say, I can see in the back of that pickup truck my reflection. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn off my signal, and if it stops, no, he's still flashing. What I was thinking was maybe I'm seeing my reflection, and it's projecting it as his turn signal, but I turned my signal off, and it, I can go, but okay, I don't know what it was waiting for there with that yield, other than the fact that I lost my arrow. Unprotected forward-facing left turn was clear. That was a debatable scenario. So I was putting myself in the intersection, waiting to turn left. The cars that were oncoming were still waiting, not necessarily for me, with a car behind me that also wanted to go through the intersection. So it was just not a good spot to have a long pause and to see what it was going to do once I entered the intersection. So we've only got a little bit more coming up here that's probably going to interfere with the car. I love looking at these large intersections when we're stopped. I don't know what's different between 11.3.3 and this version yet. First impressions drive, it was smooth. It was being very cautious around VRUs, but it's hard to complain around extra cautiousness. With only one caveat being the impatience of those around you, even to the extent I got honked at once because of a little bit of a slowdown on that traffic circle. That's the kind of test driver I am. I try to stay with the flow of traffic with a reasonable expectation to try to see what it'll do, but not not let it go too far, and either intervene or disengage as appropriate. So, you know, unless there's something they see in the data, you know, I don't see why this version wouldn't go out wider, at least to this point yet. I'm not sure what they were trying to fix, if they're able to get the data off my car or the other testers' cars and be satisfied with it. I would expect that we'll see a little bit more of a rollout. Probably tonight, maybe tomorrow, a little bit more. Very weird pause there. Kind of scared me a little bit because it tapped the brakes fast in a way that made me worry that it saw something I didn't. Got a road closed sign over here. You can see a little bit of the occupancy network was kind of displaying on that sign. Road closed signs are always very interesting because we're not really reading signs yet that I'm aware of. We're just identifying images through training. So we got one more forward-facing unprotected left turn here, unless we get a green arrow just based on timing. I'd say it was pretty good. I don't think it's worse than 11.3.3. I think 11.3.3 was pretty good. I identified some things that regressed on the unprotected left turn that I think I didn't test yet. Maybe I'll get a little bit more time and get a UPL video out later. Now I like that it stopped back here. Now look where it's putting the stop line. So it's committed to going to the intersection. And there are some very tiny gaps that I hope it doesn't go for. If it goes for it, it's got to punch it. Punch it, punch it, punch it. Oh, then it did punch it. All right. It punched it. That was a really good unprotected forward-facing left turn there. I dare say that was one I probably would have intervened on in the past, but it's earned a little bit more of my trust now. That was a nice gap. It did it, and it gave the boost it needed to get its tail out there at the end. Well, let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you guys get this version soon. It's a good build. I mean, version 11 in whole is a good build. I know the engineering team is refining it. I know they're working on some issues that they seem to have found. Tesla Engineering, if you're watching, thanks for all you do. There's a lot of people out here that are very proud of what you do. I'm one of them. Have a great day, everybody.